Look at the Colosseum. 2 millennia later, its tiered seating and corridor systems remain the structural standard for nearly every major stadium built today. Yet the civilization that engineered this dome began with a deep cultural hatred for kings. It is one of history's great ironies. A society founded on the destruction of monarchs eventually concentrated more power in a single office than any kingdom that preceded it. To understand how that transition happened and why the system eventually fractured, we have to look at the violent ideology of its origins. The Romans traced their lineage to the 8th century BC, to a myth involving twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, supposedly raised by a she-wolf in the Italian wilderness. In reality, early Rome was a gritty, rising settlement. For over 2 centuries, it was governed by a line of kings who grew increasingly detached from the people they ruled. The breaking point arrived in 509 BC. The Roman people rose up, expelled their final monarch, Tarquin the Proud, and vowed to execute anyone who attempted to wear a crown again. They replaced the monarchy with a republic, anchored by a senate and elected officials. They called it SPQR, the Senate and the People of Rome, a system designed so that no single person could hold permanent authority. For centuries, this anti-monarchical stance was the defining feature of the Roman identity. To be Roman was to be a citizen, never a subject. This new republic grew not just through force, but through a unique administrative strategy. They offered conquered neighbors a path to citizenship, trading protection and rights for a constant supply of new soldiers. This massive manpower allowed Rome to survive the Punic Wars, a century-long struggle against the naval superpower of Carthage and the tactical brilliance of the general Hannibal. By the 2nd century BC, Rome turned the Mediterranean into a Roman lake, controlling coastline from Africa to Spain. But a city-state machinery couldn't manage a continent. As communication struggled, the Senate's oversight failed, leaving borders vulnerable to ambitious generals. Wealth from these new territories flooded the Roman Forum, enriching a small elite while the working class faced rising debt and land loss. This internal rot changed the nature of the military. Instead of fighting for the Republic, soldiers began to look to their wealthy commanders for pay and land, essentially becoming private armies. Julius Caesar was the inevitable result of this shift. After his conquest of Gaul provided him with immense wealth and a battle-hardened, loyal army, the Senate realized they could no longer control him. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon River with his troops, he effectively declared war on the Republic. He emerged victorious, forcing the Senate to name him dictator for life. In 44 BC, a group of senators assassinated Caesar on the Senate floor. They believed that by killing the man, they could resurrect the Republic and prevent the return of kings. The plan backfired. The ensuing chaos allowed Caesar's heir, Augustus, to seize total control. He didn't call himself a king, but he held every major military and political office, becoming Rome's first true emperor. Augustus established the Pax Romana, a period of stability that lasted 2 centuries. But it came at a price. The Roman people had finally traded their political voice for the security of a single ruler. By the 3rd century AD, that security was failing. The empire was so large that news of a border invasion could take weeks to reach the capital, making a coordinated defense nearly impossible. To pay for the massive armies required to hold the lines, emperors debased the currency, leading to hyperinflation that crippled the internal economy. Realizing the West was too heavy to carry, Emperor Diocletian officially split the territory in 2, creating a separate Eastern and Western empire with their own administrations. The western half, starved of resources and battered by Germanic invasions, finally collapsed in 476 AD, when its last emperor, a teenager named Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. The centralized power that had unified the Mediterranean vanished, leaving Europe to reorganize into the smaller, fragmented kingdoms of the Middle Ages. While the central authority in Rome physically dissolved, the systems it pioneered did not. Latin evolved into the Romance languages, and Roman legal principles became the foundation for civil law across the globe. You can still see their presence in our infrastructure, from the layout of our cities to the stone aqueducts that still stand in European fields. The Roman approach to engineering remains visible in the modern world. The Roman Empire ended, but its long experiment with power, the rise of its republic, and the warnings of its decline, serves as the foundational narrative for Western civilization. If you found this journey through the past valuable, Please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which civilization we should explore next. Thanks for watching.